When I put on my anklet bracelet, I started jogging in place to keep my body warm. Seconds later, I looked my opponent in her eye and shook her hand as the referee blew his whistle. Unsure what to do, I kept on pushing my opponent around. Within the first 40 seconds of our match, my opponent took me down to my back and pinned me. This is the story of my very first wrestling match. Since this sport inspired me so much, I decided to do my informative speech on the rules and concepts of folk-style wrestling. Before the match starts, every wrestler must get their skin and weight checked. When two people are wrestling, they must be in the same weight class. There are 2 3-minute periods. However, if a wrestler gets pinned or tech faulted, the match will end. A pin is when a wrestler has control of their opponent on their back for 3 seconds. This is what happened during my match, in my story. A tech fault is when a wrestler has 15 points over their opponent. If a match ends in the 3rd period, the winner will be determined by who has the greater number of points. First, the match starts with wrestlers in the neutral position. In this position, wrestlers do not have control over one another, and they are trying to take their opponent down. Once a wrestler gets a takedown, they are in the top-bottom position and are awarded two points. A takedown is when an offensive move that attacks the legs to make a wrestler lose their balance. Top position is where a wrestler has control of their opponent and are trying to break them down to get them on their back. Once the opponent's back is facing towards the mat at a 45-degree angle, the wrestler who is on top will be awarded 2, 3, or 4 points, depending on how long they hold their opponent. If the wrestler on bottom gets back to the neutral position, then they are awarded 1 point for an escape. If the wrestler on the bottom gets a control of their opponent and switches to be in the top position, then they get 2 points for a reversal. After the first period, the referee will flip a coin to decide who chooses their position for the next period. The choices are top, bottom, neutral, and defer. The top and bottom position is known as referee's position, where the bottom wrestler is in a child's pose, and the top wrestler is covering their belly button and elbow. The neutral position is when both wrestlers are on their feet. If a wrestler defers, then their opponent chooses a position to start the second period in. Before the 3rd period, the wrestler who defers will choose the position. In addition to the rules, there are penalties. Wrestlers cannot lock their hands around their opponents when they're in the top position. The exception to this rule is it is okay to lock hands in a neutral position or in a near fall count. A wrestler cannot place both of their hands on their opponent's neck or face. A wrestler must be able to breathe during the match, and a referee will call a dangerous position to ensure the safety and fairness of wrestlers. There is a stalling penalty. This is when a wrestler is purposely stepping out of bounds or not trying to wrestle. The result of these penalties is a caution, and the wrestler who did not commit this penalty will be awarded 1 point. In conclusion, folk-style wrestling includes strength, determination, strategy, and grit to be successful in the sport. From the handshake in the beginning to the final whistle, wrestlers must adhere to the rules to ensure safety and fairness. Whether it's scoring points from takedowns, escapes, reversals, or near falls, the rules dictate how the match will end. By understanding the rules, wrestlers can show their skill and compete to the best of their ability.